Hiya all, I'm Neve, the Environment and Sustainability Officer at UPSU. I'm here today representing students on all things sustainable and environmental issues at the university and at UPSU. I'm here today with a few staff members that will be able to answer your questions. I have Kevin. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Neve. I'm Kevin Jones. My day job, I'm Executive Dean Science and Engineering, but I'm here today in my role as Chair of the University Sustainability Advisory Group, which is sort of the senior body representing sustainability at the university.
Wonderful, thank you. I also have Sam with us today.
Hi, I'm Samantha Davies, so I'm Head of Sustainability based in Estates and Facilities within the University Professional Services. So I head up sustainability within campus operations, so the more physical side of what you see around campus and some of our policies and strategy documents across the university.
Wonderful, thank you. And also we have Paul with us today. Hi, Paul.
Hi there, Neve. So, hi everybody. My name's Paul Warwick and I work in the Plymouth Institute of Education. But one of the things that I run is the Centre for Sustainable Futures in Education. So what that's about is thinking about how can we transform our curriculum so that we are creating future fit graduates across all faculties. And I'm based within the Sustainability Hub on campus, and within that hub we also have the Sustainable Earth Institute, which is one of our 3 institutes, and this specifically looks at how we are taking sustainability forwards as staff, but also in partnership with students through a variety of research initiatives.
Thank you. Ooh, I don't have the questions. Thank you. So, students are wondering, how do we make sure that everyone is aware of all the recycling opportunities on campus and in the city?
Shall I start with that one? I mean,
yeah,
I think there is an awful lot going on, and it's also sort of clear that not everyone is aware of all the things we are doing at every level. So given the way some of these questions have been asked, I think it's probably worth us looking into if we could build sustainability into part of the general induction that we give for all students, whether that's something like a pre-recorded video that kind of gives an introduction to sustainability at Plymouth at every level. We used to do more of that. And it's probably worth us revisiting that and seeing if we can get something up on the website in conjunction with what we already have, and then maybe building at least a pointer to that into our induction.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel it would be very beneficial for new students joining the university, know exactly what Plymouth City Council are doing, because obviously from their hometown, wherever they are, it's much different. So having that opportunity to learn and be aware of it as soon as they arrive would be great. So does the university have any invested funds or in receipts and funds for fossil fuels? And if so, why is that?
Well, let me have a go at that one as well. No, we don't specifically have any direct investments in fossil fuel companies. We have an ethical investment policy that has a number of principles which basically include providing for sort of social and environmental benefits with the investments we do. So in terms of direct investment, no, we definitely don't do that. Now, it is fair to say some of our investments are in things like global and national pension funds, and we have very little direct control over those. But again, we do try wherever possible to be following the principles of our ethical investment policy. So again, we wouldn't be investing in funds that are known to be investing in tobacco or sort of fossil fuel or so on. It's probably worth saying we do have interactions with energy companies, including oil and gas companies, but specifically around the things that the university is known for. So much of that interaction will be around alternative and renewable energies. So looking at sort of the future of energy companies rather than the past. It would be probably a little naive to say we can never have interactions with energy companies, because some of them these days are the biggest investors in things like renewable energy, solar, offshore wind, things that we really are very concerned about and involved in. So it's one of those situations where we will try to make sure that all of our interactions are, should we say, environmentally positive and are actually making a positive difference. And I mean, being candid, I'd very happily spend that kind of money on renewables in the future rather than not be spending it on sort of existing oil and gas and so on. So it's a slightly complicated question, but I mean, I think the intent behind it was, are we doing everything we can to ensure that sort of the old oil and gas industry is not something we're involved with? And the answer is definitely yes to that.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. It's good that we're like working towards like using our resources at the university to work towards a better future of being more renewable and not contributing towards climate change. Students have also asked, like, what do you find are the barriers to like sustainability for like goods, products and materials for the university, and what are you doing to currently tackle these?
Yeah, I'll pick that up, Neve. I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, first of all, we're just the basic that we're subject to public procurement regulations. So we're obviously subject to, public procurement guidelines and requirements of what we need to do for purchasing goods and materials. But I think that can present a barrier in terms of what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. And I think the second barrier is just the sheer breadth of the topic. So if you think about, all of the different sustainability elements, social, supply chain, human rights, environment, packaging, how it's delivered, it's a vast issue. And then I think if you apply that on top of the vast array of the different types of things we buy, I think that, to be honest, is the biggest barrier. It's a really big issue. But that's not to say we're not doing anything. So we've got quite a few good mechanisms in place, I think, for procurement. So, for example, suppliers are required to notify us if they've had a breach of environmental or social or financial regulations. So that's a really good one. And we've also got the net positive framework that we now use through procurement. So suppliers are asked to get involved with this net positive framework and create an action plan. And I think we've got about 200 suppliers, I think, at the moment that are actively engaged with that and have action plans. And I think what we've been doing more recently is targeting our sort of higher risk supply chains, which two key ones are IT and food, food and catering. And so we recently signed up, following student feedback and student pressure, which was great to have that engagement. We've signed up to the Electronics Watch. Historically, we've been signed up to the Workers' Rights Consortium, which we're not at the moment, because we're reviewing the different standards, but we are, quite keen on exploring the supply chain in those areas. And catering, I mean, we could go on forever about what we've done in catering. We've got some really great initiatives of catering supply chains. I think it's about 60% of our sourcing is the Southwest. 50% I think is Devon and Cornwall. All of our meat, fish, dairy, key products have requirements for, should we say, field to fork or seed to fork tracking. So we're doing some really great things, and I think we'll probably direct people to our web pages and our sustainability reports, which lists a whole load of sort of supply chain things that we're doing for catering in particular. But it's a big space that we're now starting to tackle, I think, a bit more closely.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's great to see that a student-led initiative has actually had some effect on how the university is going about checking their procedures and stuff like that. We've also heard from students asking about, is there more we can do regarding single-use plastic? Is that still a thing in the cafes currently? And what are we doing to be more eco-friendly when it comes to our cleaning products that we use at the university?
Yeah, so I can pick that up, Neve. That's another really good question, quite broad, but I'll try and pick up on the different aspects. So single-use plastics, we've done a lot of work over the past couple of years, as has the student union, been working together. Some of the plastic items in cafes in particular we've got rid of would be straws. Plastic straws have either been removed or replaced with paper straws. The little plastic single-use cups within the cafes for the water machines have been replaced with like a picnic style, hard plastic reusable cups. Plastic water bottles in hospitality, for example, have been replaced with water jugs or glass bottles. Still more that we want to do there. We're looking into different refillable water bottles and machines, but it's been a good start. I think the SU bar as well, Neve, I think has got rid of the single-use cups from the bar, haven't they? And I've now got the reusable, washable plastic cups, which is brilliant. I'm looking forward to some of the things that we're doing. Catering are just about to introduce the sale of a plastic, well, it's not plastic, it's made from sugarcane, I think, a water bottle called Bottled Up, which comes with water in it if you need water on the go, but it's effectively a reusable water bottle, which should be really good. And then in September time, I think they're hoping, when the student numbers are a bit more back to normal on campus, they're looking at putting in a flavoured water machine. So if people want, don't just want tap water from a fountain, they can take the reusable bottle and get flavoured water instead. I guess we're hoping to replace the likes of cans of Coke or cans of Tango or, whatever. And what else? So there was cleaning. So we've just introduced actually over the past year an aqueous ozone solution, which I won't go into the details of explaining how it works, but please Google it. But it's basically taking tap water, which goes through a process to change the atoms or something, and then it's a cleaning product. So it's basically toxin-free, chemical-free. Doesn't need to be shipped, transported. It's just on-site, made, used tap water. So that is brilliant. So it's really good for allergens as well, and chemical products being left on surfaces. So that's a really good win, I think, that we've had recently. And I think, did you mention food sourcing? I think we've probably touched on food sourcing, I think, already. Yeah.
So it's great to hear that all this is going on, like, to combat single-use plastic, which is a massive problem, and the chemicals, the effects of that. I know you've also mentioned before about the refill app for campus when students are on. So it's essentially where if you go on the app, it'll show you your nearest water fountain, so it helps you avoid single-use plastics. So I thought that'd be another thing to mention as well when we eventually are allowed to go back on campus.
Yeah, great point, Neve. Really good point, of course. Yeah, please do look on that refill app, because there are actually water fountains across campus, but they're not, they've been there for quite a while, and they're not necessarily in the most in-your-face sort of locations. Some of them are hidden in stairwell, areas and things. So yeah, great point. Have a look on the refill app. Yeah.
No, that would definitely help. We've also been asked by students, what can we have more green space around the university by any chance?
Great. Shall I start with that one, Neve? So I've been here 8 years now, and this is a question, rightly, that staff as well as students are regularly asking and getting us to think about. And so I guess I just briefly share two examples of where students have really served as co-leaders and co-partners in taking a couple of initiatives forward. So the first is linked to the Sustainability Hub on campus. So the Sustainability Hub is a SCAR gold rated refurbished building, and students were involved in helping us to come up with design proposals for that building, and one of the things that they wanted was for it to feel like it was alive inside and out. So it's got a living wall on the outside, which helps everybody to locate us, but it's also got a living wall on the inside. And one of the criticisms, so we go to students expecting to get a round of applause, and sometimes what happens is they rightly say, yeah, but, and with the Sustainability Hub, one of the things that students very quickly rightly pointed out was that it still felt like a green building that had been parachuted into 3 car parks, because all the way around it are car park spaces. And so again, what students have been helping us to do is to developed the case for us having a sustainability garden adjacent to the hub. And I think where we're up to now is the business case has been approved, and where we're at is getting some ideas of some designs for how that garden can be biodiverse and can be a social learning space and can be used by students, by staff, but also by our community partners as another way of inviting them on to campus. So we have had students come along and take part in workshops with myself and others in helping to come up with some really exciting designs for what those sustainable gardens could look like. So we've got that going on. And then I guess another thing that I just like to make sure everyone's aware of is that there is a staff and student voluntary group that looks after some beehives on campus. And again, that's been very much driven by a fantastic sustainability champion within the university called Heidi Morstang, who's a member of staff here, but with a number of students helping to look after those beehives and to make sure again that we are taking care of the pollinators that we rely upon for our food and for our flowers, and to make sure that on campus we've got these bees thriving. So they are always on the lookout for more volunteers, particularly over the summer months when the beehives need the most attention, and obviously the vast majority of students aren't here. So if anyone's interested in that, then please do contact Heidi Morstang and see if you can get involved. But perhaps, Sam, I don't know whether there's anything else you want to add in terms of the campus plan and the greening dimensions of that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we've got a campus master plan for the university, and that has picked up on the need and marking out sorts of future spaces for more green space. So that's a sort of overarching plan. But then within our individual projects, we've actually are pushing for more net positive biodiversity within each project. So a good example at the moment is we've got the refurbishment of Babbage. It's a new engineering and design facility, and that will incorporate Brunel, sorry, completely forgot the name of the building, and the Brunel building coming down, which will be new sort of green space, open parkland going forward. So it's something that, as Paul said, we've wanted to do for years, but it's a bit of a slow burn, I guess, in terms of transitioning our spaces in some of these much longer term, bigger projects. So hopefully going forward, you will see significant more green space on campus. It is needed.
Yeah, that's great to hear. It's nice to see that students can also get involved with this as well, considering it is a big concern for them. I have received another question, and it's about, will the university expand its interfaculty collaboration, maybe working on more projects and encouraging a multidisciplinary approach to tackling environmental issues? Okay.
Is it all right if I give an initial response to that, Neve? So again, this is a really pressing issue across higher education currently. So I'm involved in some national networks, and this kind of question about the importance of interdisciplinary learning and multidisciplinary working is just across the board, because the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals have really highlighted the interconnected but also transdisciplinary nature of the problems we're trying to address. So we need people that have got subject expertise, but equally what we need are people, graduates and academic staff and professional service staff that are able to collaborate, able to work in a team-based structure so that we can address these complex, wicked and manifold problems. So a couple of things, again, just to add in terms of what we're currently taking forward that might be of interest to students is when it comes to research and when it comes to student engagement on research, the Sustainable Earth Institute is a really good first port of call for people to check out. If you go onto the Sustainable Earth Institute website, it's got loads of different links to events and to ways that research is currently being taken forward across the university in interdisciplinary ways. And one of the things that, just to point out, for example, is that we've got the Sustainable Earth Institute conference, which is on the 24th and 25th of June, which is an online free event. And that's around, I think it's titled The Climate Emergency, The Race to Net Zero. And that will have loads and loads of different keynotes and workshops that are embodying this spirit of a cross-faculty, multidisciplinary collaboration and work in this particular area. And with that particular topic in mind, the university, again through the Sustainable Earth Institute, currently has a low carbon Devon project. And again, that has a cross-faculty team of staff and students that are engaging with that. And one of the things that offers is some student internship opportunities. So we've pretty much filled up the first phase of those, but there'll be some more in the autumn and another round in the spring. And that'll be an opportunity for students to get involved with working alongside a local enterprise company and helping them to think about this whole race towards net zero and how they can challenge and tackle their carbon footprints. So check out the Sustainable Earth Institute and the Low Carbon Devon project as one way that we're taking that forwards. And then when we're thinking about the Centre for Sustainable Futures and we're thinking about the curriculum and education, again, one of the things that we've been able to develop is an interdisciplinary learning model. So it's quite unique to the university, and it's something that other universities draw from. And what that does is it presents a model of how modules can actually involve students from different subject areas coming together in order to address a sustainable development goal and to come up with something that's an integrated solution. And at the moment, there's growing work in a variety of different faculties, including the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Business that have got a really exciting project at the moment called the 21st Century Curriculum Initiative. And what that's looking at doing is how can we get students to learn through engaging with real world issues that are in our city. So really looking at that civic university agenda that this university also has. And it's this whole idea of interdisciplinary learning, getting staff and students to work together with community partners in order to address issues that are pressing and are on our doorstep. So just a few ideas there, but it's certainly an area that we need to do lots more on. And it's certainly an area that, like I say, other universities are equally thinking about we need to be addressing.
Can I add something to that? Because it's worth mentioning that the Sustainability Advisory Group itself, which all the people visible on this call are part of, is very much a sort of cross-university body. We have representatives from professional services, from the faculties, from the student unions, sabbatical officers, from students. So there is actually a place in the university where sort of all of the sustainability tendrils come together. And it is very much viewed that this is not sort of a siloed problem. It's something that we as a university are sort of looking at and addressing. And indeed, in our interactions with the council, the city, the region, and so on, it's sort of trying to bring all these threads together because, Paul mentioned multidisciplinarity. Sustainability is a global problem. It needs a global solution. So pretty much all of the approaches we're taking will involve multiple disciplines, multiple approaches, multiple sort of levels of interaction. And I think it's important for us all to remember this is sort of everyone's issue. So every single person at every level should be involved in some way, whether that's sort of, leading a major project or whether it's just doing the right thing themselves. And I think that as a university, we're trying to make this, using the overused sort of statement, really part of our DNA. So sort of, it isn't siloed, it isn't this bit or that bit, this project or that project. It really is the sort of the whole Gestalt of the University of Plymouth is really concerned about sustainability, from students to staff to institution. And it's that whole picture we need to keep in mind. So the question's a very good one, But I think more so, it's like the mindset of this not being project driven or individual group driven. It's everybody being involved at every level.
Yeah, no, most definitely. You mentioned the Sustainability Advisory Group. How is the best way for students to get involved with this and like have their voices heard at those higher levels when it comes to decision making in the university?
A couple of different ways. I mean, the trivial answer is there should be enough people on the Sustainability Advisory Group that people can recognize someone they know and feed in through them. So, for example, the student body, either through this year yourself or Casey, who are both on the group, they could directly contact you by normal mechanisms, and you can bring it up to the group meetings. There are also mailboxes that sort of they can use to submit any comments or questions, and they're picked up regularly. I mean, I think there are many channels in which people can influence, and the more they're aware of those, the more effect there is from influence. Writing a letter to the Vice Chancellor is not a bad idea, but it's not the most effective way of doing things, because she'd pass it on to me probably, and then it would go to the Sustainability Advisory Group. So, I mean, I think if we can get people aware of all these channels, from mailboxes, individual representatives, and so on, everybody should have a voice. And that's sort of what we want to encourage.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It's great that as a student representative to have the opportunity to be on a part of this group to raise the issues that students have of concerning regarding sustainability. We've also been asked about reusable cups, and there's issues surrounding not being a discount. I don't believe that is the case, but if you'd like to share like what's going on at the university, that'd be great, Sam.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you're right, Neve. We do have a discount. There's a 20p discount in place across all campus cafes and the student union cafe. So if you bring a reusable cup, you'll get a 20p discount on your hot drink. So that's been in place for a couple of years. And it's the usual, isn't it? Trying to get the message out. It's on all of our web pages and it's on social media, but obviously it's not reached everyone. And I think that's something where we all can always work on, is trying to improve the messaging, but it is in place. And I just remember something I didn't mention before that's relevant to this, that might be quite interesting, that we've recently installed a milk purgle as well, which is like a milk vending machine to try and reduce the amount of plastic bottles that milk comes in. So I think it's in our container cafe, so you can refill a bottle for milk, which is quite exciting to me anyway.
It's always useful. Like people always run out of milk, so it's just
exactly.
Yeah. Also, we've been asked how could the university increase accessibility to local and affordable and plastic-free produce for students, so like fruit and vegetable markets?
Yeah, and this is such a good question, and I'm really excited actually that someone's asked this, because it's something again that we've wanted to do for quite a while, and again you might not be aware of, but what we have put in place is access to Tamar Grow Local, which is basically a local community interest company that provides an online shop and network for producers in the Tamar Valley to sell the locally produced, locally grown produce. So that's really good. It's you have to order in the week, and you have to order within a certain time frame, and then you pick up at Drake's Cafe, which I think is on a Friday, but I'll have to check that. But it's the information is available on our web pages. But that's a great resource, and all sorts of stuff you can buy through there. Like honey, homemade jams, fresh veggies, meat. I think last time I looked, you could get fresh fish. It's potentially not all affordable. Some of it is more expensive, but there is also affordable things on there, like your standard veggies and things. So there's quite a range of stuff on there. And also our own catering provider, UCSP, are going to be looking at putting in a mini sort of grocery section. Not going to call it a shop, but a section within the container cafes, so trying to provide access direct for students to our really brilliant suppliers. So we get most of our seasonal fruit and veg from, again, a company in the Tamar Valley, so really local. I think that has been delayed because of the current situation, because there isn't enough footfall, and what we don't want is to have food waste, so stuff that isn't bought. So they're waiting to introduce that when there's a bit more footfall on campus. So that will be really good, and we'd really welcome student feedback on that when it's up and running.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. With student feedback regarding that, always can go to the representative at UPSU or individually email the individuals, and it's cool. We've also been asked about our interaction with Plymouth City Council and what we're regarding recycling, and what's the best way to encourage that with students.
Yeah, right. I can start on this one. Recycling is such a difficult area, and we do try to put on events and do communication to students. And historically, what we've done is Plymouth City Council would usually come in a couple of times a year and do a roadshow type event, where they try and show which items to put in which bin. Discuss with students some of the more tricky items that people don't really know what to do with. So there is that going on, but we know that we need to do more, and we need to engage with students more in recycling. So for the next year, we're going to be starting a bit more of an engagement campaign with recycling, and trying to get, again, feedback on students as to what you need to know, what information, how best to present the information. So that hopefully will be a bit of a positive. And I think bigger picture, we're working really closely with Plymouth City Council on the net zero carbon and carbon neutral campaign and programme. So there's an extensive amount of work that's happening with that. We meet regularly through a meeting with all of the major sort of companies within Plymouth, and working on our action plans and how we can work together to deliver cross-city projects that are needed in order to take forward our net zero programme. I don't know if Kevin, if you want to say any more on that.
Yeah, I think it's true across the city, but it's also true across Devon and the Southwest. The university is very involved in initiatives trying to get sort of the Southwest to net zero in the appropriate time frame. And we are sort of, a major player and a major influencer. And we try and do our bit as a major body to sort of be influencing the way the whole region is working.
It's great to hear that as the university, we are being a major key player in all of this in the city, and moving forward towards more sustainability regarding recycling and wastage. I know there has been concerns in halls about food wastage. Currently, because it's not a part of the university themselves, the companies, we can't really do anything. Although there is a student-led project currently at the moment called Food for Fuel, and they do have an Instagram page if you want to check that out. But they're basically trying to gather information to put towards the Plymouth City Council to work towards better food wastage within halls. So as students, if you want to check out that, I would highly recommend it. As we've come to the end of our questions, I was wondering, is there anything that hasn't been mentioned that you would like to share with students?
I'm happy to go first on that if nobody else wants to. I don't know how many people have noticed, but just in the last week or so, the Times Higher, very important publication in our particular industry, published a new league table, if you will, on impact on UN Sustainable Development Goals, which is sort of obviously the global measure in some sense for impact on the environment. And the University of Plymouth is ranked in the top 25 in the world for our impact overall on sustainable development goals. And in terms of one particular goal, which is sort of, effect beneath the waves, as it were, so on the ocean, we were ranked #1 in the world. So, sort of our effect on global picture of environmental sustainability is very significant. And I think sometimes because of the kind of institution we are, we don't shout loudly enough about just how much we do. And, full credit to Sam and her team and Paul and many others for actually making this happen. So when it's recognized at a global level, just how good we are, I think everyone, particularly the whole student body, should feel kind of really proud about the fact that this institution really is walking the talk, and sort of independent evidence says, yeah, we really are that good, sort of, you know, amongst the very best in the world. And I think it's important that we remember to mention that.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Can I just add one other thing, Neve, as well? I think, you know, as Kevin's said, it feels like a real privilege to work where we do. And one of the things I absolutely love to bits is just meeting staff, but also meeting students who are compassionate and want to be critical creatives. They want to be about how can we take positive change forwards. And so it's just an invitation, really, just to when we're allowed back onto campus, for students to please come and make the Sustainability Hub theirs. It's a social learning space. It's there deliberately for dialogue and interaction and creativity, and it would just be so brilliant to come into work each day and just to see it buzzing with staff, buzzing with community partners, but crucially buzzing with students as well. And you know, increasingly we're just seeing the way forwards in all of this work. It's not about lone hero figures. It's about that, if you like, that starling murmuration of collective change, about us learning to come together and to make positive change. So please do come and visit the Sustainability Hub and the gardens when they are built.
I've just got a couple of things as well, Neve, just very quickly. I probably should have mentioned that we're just picking up on the recycling theme. We're looking at putting in place a couple of cup recycling bins around campus. So it'd be great to get feedback, input from students on that, because if people don't use them correctly, then it's pointless. So they'll be sent off for separate recycling at a special facility. And also just to signpost students to our web pages. And in particular, I think our policies page, because there's a raft of information on there, all of our sustainability reports, all of the audits of our cafes, for example, the Sustainable Restaurant Association reports, you know, our ethical investment policy that was mentioned. And I think it just gives a vast amount of information on what we've done, what our targets are, what we're working on. And I think the more we can push that information out there, the better, because then we can just keep engaging with students on what to do next.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think the communication between students and the university is key to like pushing forward. And if they like see anything they're not happy with, we can like move forward to creating like more sustainable outcomes within the university. I'd like to say like thank you to everyone that has submitted their questions, and thanks to Kevin, Paul and Sam for giving up their time today to discuss and answer your questions. If you would like to give any feedback or would like to get involved in supporting the development of topics discussed today, please do get in touch. I have my email, which is neve.peat at students.plymouth.uk. Got there in the end. But yeah, if anyone wants to, feel free to email me about any issues on campus or anything. I'm more than welcome to listen. And then, of course, if you want to get involved with like Sustainability Hub, I'm sure that Sam, Kevin and Paul were more than welcome to hear feedback from you guys. So thank you for today. That's all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.